You're back to Windsor now, where our UK correspondent Olly Barratt was watching the royal wedding. Olly, I see you've taken your tie off, you're relaxing a little bit more, enjoying the celebrations yourself. I want to talk about the inclusivity of today's events. Not only a very impassioned sermon from Bishop Michael Curry that a lot of people are talking about, but also the performance of Stand By Me by that choir, the ululation outside the St. George's Chapel, the inclusion of a lot of different elements that people might not have been expecting. What's sort of been the feedback from people on the street and from people you've spoken to throughout the day?
People on the streets have been saying that they absolutely loved the service and have loved the day and have loved everything about the occasion, and they love the royal couple, Meghan and Harry, the newlyweds. Of course, anyone who's here is likely to be keen on the couple anyway, otherwise they wouldn't have travelled for the event. But Meghan describing herself as biracial obviously brings a new element of discussion around her arrival in the family and the way she changes perhaps the royal family and its perception here in the UK, but also around the world. It was really interesting to see those elements of the service today that reflected that and also reflected Harry and Meghan's clear willingness and desire to make this an inclusive service and to be a couple that reflects modern Britain. Meghan Markle, of course, is an American actress, and she brings that element of glamour and difference to the royal family now as well. But one other thing which I would remark on is that this is anecdotal, completely anecdotal, but I've covered royal events for years now, back to the Queen Mother's funeral in Datchet just over there many years ago, to William and Kate's wedding, the Queen's Jubilee. It's always been at those events. The people that have always come out onto the streets have tended to be, let's be honest, a very white crowd. And I've really picked up today here in Windsor that has shifted, that has changed. There are a lot more people of colour here in Windsor today, and perhaps that is because some people are now feeling like this is more of a royal family that represents them. It's more inclusive, it has more difference now as a result of Meghan being welcomed into the family. So I think that's been one really interesting thing to keep an eye on today. But you know, going back to how people feel about all of this, everyone here just says they loved the service and have loved the day.
And obviously, if these events have been planned into the ceremony, as they quite obviously were, doesn't that also show that the monarchy is very aware that they need to be more reflective of a modern Britain?
That's exactly right, and I think Meghan and Harry are very well aware of that and are also very keen to play a part in it, and that was clear from the service today. That was clear from some of the people that were invited. That was clear from some of those normal people, if we can call them that, who were allowed to come into the grounds of Windsor Castle for the day. Those 1,200 extra people who work in the communities where they live, who work for charity, who've been caught up in the terrorist attacks in the UK in the last year or so. All of those people, Meghan and Harry wanted to show that they were including in the day. They wanted this to feel like a people's wedding. And I think it's very clear that they also wanted to make sure that as they tried to make it a people's wedding, they tried to reflect modern Britain, which is one of the most diverse countries on earth. London, of course, the capital city, one of the most diverse cities on earth. Not to say that it doesn't have any problems, the United Kingdom, with racism lingering in some quarters, but I think Harry and Meghan were really trying to make it clear that they want to play a role in all of that.
And as much as it is Meghan and Harry's big day, obviously they wouldn't be able to do any of this without the buy-in of the monarchy and those who are assisting them. So good to see that there's an all-round buy-in to inclusivity and a more reflective royal family. Thank you very much, Olly. We'll update with you again as the day progresses and as the ceremony, the reception concludes, and we'll chat to Olly again a bit later.